Gonna be honest, I am not a fan of the cold for many reasons, actually. But the number one reason is that it is the arch nemesis of a good pump. You know, there's nothing worse than taking your pump cover off in the gym and your pump just fades away in a matter of 5 minutes as if you hadn't even been working out at all. It's truly disappointing, on top of just needing to wear an unnecessary amount of clothes to feel like a normal human being. But I don't want to complain about that too much because it's chest day and there's not really a whole lot to complain about when it's chest day. So you already know the drill by this point. Some bench press. Bench press has been feeling really nice. You know, I think strength has been pretty good. So I'm probably going to shoot for a top set and then maybe do some lighter sets. Not necessarily lightweight, but some lighter, more controlled squeeze, stretch, that kind of thing in the 8 to 12 rep range. That's one thing that bothers me when you tell somebody to lift lighter and they actually take it as in lifting weight that feels light. Like I don't know what universe you're living in, but the weight should never be light to the point where you're not feeling any muscle activation. By lightweight, everybody knows the difference between a set where, like, on the last rep, like, dude, I was about to die. Like, the speed of the reps, you have to go fast because if you slow it down, your reps are going to be cut in half. So when I say lightweight, right, for example, if I put 275 on the bar, probably bench it for about 12 reps. Now, if I say I'm going to lift lighter, that doesn't mean I'm going to bench 185. I'll probably drop it down to 225 and just slow the rep speed down a little bit, maybe do a little pause at the bottom, and then control it on the way up. At no point should the weight feel easy or light. And people are, oh, why would I lift light to, like, it seems, you know, well, I guess I can't really be upset or frustrated because, you know, everybody starts off somewhere and it's just a matter of hearing the right phrasing to understand something sometimes. But that is always something that kind of, you know, is funny to me. Like, whenever people do actually, like, lift light, thinking that they're going to get something, and they're like, oh, dude, I just got done with 12 reps, and you're like, bro, you could have done, like, 37 more reps, just being real with you. You might want to increase the weight a little bit. And they're like, no, I'm lifting lighter. You know, we're doing more volume. If you're not feeling anything in the muscle that you're trying to hit, it's too light. The weight's irrelevant at that point. But after we do the bench press, we'll probably go, you know, might throw some incline in there. Of course, we have biceps, so it's going to be lots of curls. Now that is something that I lift lighter on, and not light to the point where I don't feel it. But with arms, I've found that with the slower, more squeeze and stretch controlled reps, I find better growth from that than if I was to do heavier sets, like more all-out ego sets. I've never found really much benefit from ego lifting on arms. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted, and then I started recording, and then I forgot to turn my mic on, so we'll do this again. But as I was saying, you know, if you can get good growth from ego lifting on arms, and you're not injuring yourself, and you feel a good connection, and you're just using a little bit of body English, I really don't see any reason why you shouldn't do that. I think it is a good idea to implement some higher rep ranges or maybe some more slow and controlled sets for your arms or any other body part that you might have more of a tendency to ego lift. I don't think ego lifting is essentially like a road of no gains. I can't think of anything better to say than that. But there's definitely benefit to gain from overloading and maybe sacrificing a little bit of form. If anything, I would say try to let the form break down towards the end of the set. If the form is broken at the beginning of the set, there's a lot of refinement that could be implemented, and I think you are leaving gains on the table in that sense. If it's just one set of the workout, you might be able to get away with it, but I would honestly just try to make your training as efficient as possible. And that really comes down to personal preference too. So what's efficient for one person might not be efficient for somebody else. So just keep that in mind. But with that being said, I'm ready to get some chest in, some bicep in, some biceps, not just one. You got to do both. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'll see you at the first set of bench. Starting with bench press, I have 275 on the bar here, and it moves better than it has moved ever before for me at this weight. Everything's just been feeling amazing, like firing on all cylinders. Control feels really good. Shoulders are feeling nice. I'm getting a really good connection. In the past, it was really hard for me to get a good pump on the flat bench, but lately I've just been feeling it. Like sometimes you just click with a movement, and when a movement's feeling like that, I think you should stick with it as long as you can. I typically like to start my workouts with the same lift for a few weeks at a time if I can find one that I have a good connection with. Right now it's bench press. Every chest day I look forward to hitting the bench, and the way I structure my workouts is if I'm not really feeling a movement, like it just doesn't sound like it's going to go very well, then I'll switch it. And if it's feeling good and strength is going up and I'm still getting good pumps and all that, then I'll start with it. Now, there will be times where you just have to do some movements that don't feel the best, and that's okay. But right now, we're enjoying the bench, so we're just going to keep rocking with it for a while here. And I actually ended up doing 4 sets today. So I did the top set with 275, and then I just went down to 225 and just kind of repped it in the middle range. I didn't fully lock out, and I don't go all the way down. I just feel it more in my chest this way. I find that when I let the bar hit my chest, or if I lock it all the way out, I sometimes lose tension, and I was trying to build up a pump, which we definitely achieved. And then I went over, I haven't done these in a really long time. These are incline cable chest flies. These felt really, really good. It was a nice deep stretch and then a really good squeeze at the top. And honestly, I might start incorporating these a little bit more. It's just a little bit difficult to get a hold of this cable machine at my gym sometimes, but I think it's good to switch it up every now and then. Normally, I would do all of my pressing movements first and then go into a fly type movement. And I would even consider this more so like a fly press. My elbows are bending a little bit on the way down. I find if I keep my arms straight all the way out, it will put some tension on my wrist and also like the outside of my chest, like right in between my front delt and my upper chest. I'm sure some of you guys know what I'm talking about, but these felt really good, especially like pulling the bench out a little bit, so I'm not pushing the cable straight up. I'm kind of like pulling them out a little bit. I don't really know how to describe it after that, but these felt really good. Loved them. We'll definitely go back to them for sure. And you could even do them like on a flat bench, or I just think if you're going to do cable flies, there's nothing wrong with doing them standing. Sometimes it's just easier to swing than on a bench. With the bench, you can like kind of leverage yourself against the pad and just focus on the squeeze, which I think if you have trouble connecting with a muscle, it's definitely better to have an implement where your body is not going to be moving, whereas your body on the regular chest flies are just kind of floating in space, and you can kind of get away with a little bit of swinging. So, not that I think swinging is an issue. I've talked about this before. I think if you have a little bit of body English, there's nothing horrible about it. Just make sure you're keeping the tension on the desired muscle the entire time. But threw a drop set in there. These reps were getting crazy at the end. I was just fighting for every last one. And then I jumped on to this chest press here, just doing a lot of reps. And really, a lot of people will ask me that, they're like, oh, what kind of reps do you do? What rep scheme should I do? How should I structure my workout? In my opinion, I don't really think there's a right or a wrong way. I think just finding your own way is what's going to work for you. And what I do is I typically don't go below 8 reps. I recently experimented with about 6 and it felt nice. But anyway, for the sake of this example, we'll say like 8 to 20. And you can mess around with what points of the workout you want to throw in what rep ranges. But in the beginning of my workout, I like to stick with the lower rep ranges of like 8 to 12. And then maybe towards the end of the workout, I'll do more higher reps, 15 to 20, 12 to 20, something like that. And that way I kind of just force more blood into the muscle. I find that also helps with, after you do the heavier sets, your strength isn't going to be as high, but you can still force a lot of volume. So I'm going to incorporate more volume later into the workout, where if you were to start with more volume, it would kind of be hard to force like strength or produce strength later in the workout. And not that strength is, the ultimate factor in building muscle. It's definitely a factor. If you're going to utilize strength as a component of your lifting, it's definitely best to start your workouts with that, because that's when you're going to be the freshest and that's when it's going to be the most effective. Anyway, that was a really long tangent, so hopefully I still was making sense there at the end. But we're doing some biceps at the end. I did not record every single set just because it does get a little bit repetitive seeing the same thing over and over and over again. But I really like these cable curls with this long straight bar. I can kind of hold it further out than you normally would with like a regular cable bar. How they're kind of close together, those put a little bit too much tension on my wrists, so that bar feels nice. And then I went over and did some incline curls, and nothing crazy with weight. Those cable curls actually really just blew up my biceps, so they were really fatigued. So I was just doing about 25 pounds here, 5 per side, and then switching to the other, and then finishing with 5 and 5. These are really nice. I don't do incline curls too often, but when I do, they always feel really good. So I might think about incorporating these a little bit more often, and then just doing some more sets. And like I was talking about earlier in the video, focusing more on more volume, lighter weight, squeezing, stretching, that kind of thing. I really don't like to swing on arms. It's just never felt great to me. And if something doesn't feel good, I'm not really going to try to force it to make sense. But anyway, we're going to finish off these last few curls here, and I will see you guys in the posing room. All right, chest and biceps has been utterly thrashed, and I already can tell that this shirt is not going to come off easy, so I'm just going to get a head start and hope that I don't suffocate myself, because that would truly be an unfortunate way to go out, because these dry fits, they don't mess around. So enjoy watching me struggle a bit here. I'm just gonna, oh, hold on. Oh, we did it. All right. Let's assess the pump. On first glance, not too shabby, but I will say some fullness is going away for sure. But that's okay. We are getting leaner. I can already tell that, well, the scale has already dropped. I checked this morning, but not looking, don't look horrible, but I don't look great. Definitely like a lot of subcutaneous fat underneath the skin here in the abdominals, but I'm not too disappointed. It's just part of the process. Like, that's a big thing to keep in mind when you start a cut, or just at any point during your bulking and cutting cycles, is just understanding where you are. There's no point in wishing that you were in the opposite phase. So if you start cutting, don't immediately wish you were bulking again. Just enjoy the process. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be shredded, or everybody would be huge. But there's a mental component just like there's a physical component. So don't go off the plan. If you write yourself a plan, if you have a coach write you a plan, stick to the plan, trust the process. Like I've said before, if you struggle with, seeing how you look in the mirror, if this was to bother you, this wasn't how you wanted to see yourself, cover up. Don't pose. You don't have to pose every single time you come into the gym in order for it to be a session that was, considered good, right? Now, it is fun to do it at the end of the lift just to assess the pump. But if it's going to mess with you and it's going to make you veer off track, or, get down on yourself, maybe make you do some things that you don't want to do, stay covered up, man, and just grind for about a month. But anyway, I'm going to go finish up with some abs, to practice some posing, and eat my cereal, and then meet you back up in the car. All right. Chest and biceps are destroyed. And now it is time to head home, get in the final meal of the night, and go to bed and get these gains, because gains are made while you're sleeping. Now, that leads me to a really good topic that I want to talk about. Really good. All right, we'll deal with the camera falling down later. Anyway, so something that has always perplexed my mind is lifters that say they want to get huge, they want to get jacked, they want to get shredded. And you ask them if they're doing cardio, or if they're sleeping, or if they're on their meal plan. And they're like, I just don't want to do that. I just don't want to do cardio. I can't get enough sleep. I just don't. What do you mean? It sounds to me like you don't want to get huge. Like you don't want to get shredded. Like you don't want to get jacked. Because if you want it, you'll just do it. There won't be, I don't want to do this part, or I'm not saying you have to enjoy it, but if you truly want something, you're going to do what you have to do to get that thing. That's the great thing about bodybuilding, is there is no negotiations with what you have to do. You either do the work or you don't do the work. And your physique is going to represent the work that you do. Now, there are some genetic outliers out there that might not have to do as much cardio, or might not have to sleep as long as you or somebody else. But at the end of the day, they still have to get a minimum amount of sleep. And at some point, to get really, really lean, they're going to have to do some form of cardio. There's some people that it's easy for them to eat a lot of food to get big. There's some people where it's hard, and vice versa. Regardless of whatever your challenge is, to the person that says, oh, I just can't eat enough food in the day. My metabolism is too fast. Okay, so your struggle is eating a lot of food, but once you do eat all of the food and you cut down, you're going to have an easier time cutting down than somebody that has an easy time putting on weight. So don't look at it in terms of like, oh, I don't want to do it because this is hard for me. Like that's where you're going to get the most growth. That's where you're going to find out what you're made of. Really. Like, I just don't get it. Like, what is this? I just don't want to do cardio. Like, it's such a integral, crucial factor in building a good physique. Now, you can build a good physique without cardio. But I'm telling you, if you do at least 30 minutes of cardio a day, it doesn't even have to be crazy amount of times per week. It could be 4 times a week. Just to start. 30 minutes, 4 times a week, heart rate above 130. Just see what happens after a month or 2 months. Your lifts are going to get better. You're going to sleep better. You're going to be able to eat more food. The muscle is going to come on. You're not going to wither away into nothing. If you're sitting here complaining, oh, cardio is boring, grow up. Seriously, grow up. Like, you can sit on a cardio bike or a treadmill or a Stairmaster for 30 minutes. And one of the other reasons why, what made a huge difference for cardio for me was controlling my breathing. Like, I think a lot of people just hop on whatever cardio implement is in front of them and they just don't really think about their breathing. Your breathing cadence is severely going to impact how long you're able to go for on cardio. And also, if your breathing is out of whack, like it's not in rhythm with your steps or whatever, you're going to gas out really, really fast. Now, I'm no cardio expert or breathing expert, so maybe look up some breathing exercises or some ways to, properly breathe while you're doing cardio, like in your nose and out your mouth kind of thing. But it makes a huge difference, trust me. And I don't know if y'all are into this kind of stuff, but it's almost like a level of meditation. Now, I like to watch TV shows when I do cardio, at least right now. And right now I'm watching Demon Slayer. Now, if you're familiar with watching anime, you know that subs are the only way to go. So there's a lot of subtitle reading. Doing cardio, focusing on your breathing, and reading at the same time is a great way to make you forget that you're doing cardio. And it's a really great way to just, exercise your brain. At least I see it that way. It's a challenge. And if you're wanting to here's another good point. If you're wanting to get big or shredded, you have to accept the challenge that's in front of you. So you just got to enjoy the challenge of it. Like, if you just don't like cardio, like I'll let you in on a little secret. I hated cardio when I first started lifting. Now at this point, I don't hate it. I enjoy it. Some days it's not as fun as others. Some days it's just cardio. And some days it goes by in the blink of an eye. But either way, it's a challenge, and it's something that I don't have to do. But it's something that I told myself I'm going to do because it's difficult. And I get immense satisfaction from doing things that are difficult or maybe inconvenient. I got to wake up an hour earlier to get my cardio in so I have enough time to get ready for work and do all this, and challenge accepted. Y'all are so fast to chase achievements on Xbox Live or whatever it is you guys are doing. Grinding camos in Call of Duty. Unlocking the battle pass on Fortnite. Whatever, you understand what I'm saying. Cardio is the battle pass of real life. That you see somebody doing their cardio every day, that's a level 100 max, right? no V-Bucks purchase. That dude grinded that shit out on his own. You guys got to start looking at this like a video game or relate it to something that you know is easy, right? Anyway, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. If you want it, you'll do it regardless of how you feel. Anyway, I hope you guys are able to get your gains, do your cardio, drink your water, get some sleep, and I'll see you when I see ya.